with an interesting topic called "The future of work is the future of everything." But what is everything? Hopefully Mr. Brkljač will give us a satisfying answer. Take it away. Applause.
Hi, good morning. It was a long night, isn't it? Okay, fine. I'm very glad that I was invited to speak on this conference, even though I don't understand why organizers invited me to do, because guys, you belong to this current world and the world of future, and I feel like I'm coming from the Stone Age, but I will come to that, where I'm coming from and why I'm experienced beginner. Another proof of that, I was, just to start the story with this, a friend of mine invited me a few days ago and said, look, can we have a lunch in Ljubljana on Friday, May 6th, that we have to talk some business? And I said, well, we can do that, but not on Friday because I'm speaking on one conference. He said, when you are speaking? I said, yeah, I have Friday, like, I don't know, around 10, something like that. Yeah, but that's okay. When you finish, we'll meet. If you want earlier, it's no problem. I said, man, I'm talking in Adria. You're telling me that it's a physical conference, not virtual one? And I said, yeah. It still exists? So it's good that you guys coming from the IT and digital world are organizing physical conferences, but that's what I am familiar with. But I start my story with this because I can make a comparison with this virtual versus real conference. Virtual conferences are more common today than the real ones, isn't it? Okay? But it's similar happening with the work. Being physically present in the offices, it was like really Stone Age. Okay, now a lot of people can say, yeah, of course, it was because Corona, stuff like that. But let's be honest, work from home model existed much before Corona. Corona just speeded up that trend. And where it's going to, we'll see about that. But it's nothing new, basically. Whenever major technology revolution happened, they changed everything. And that's the answer on your question, what is this everything? It's really everything. So, coming from the Stone Age, let me come back to this industrial revolution before and just visited that part of our history. When industrial revolution, technology revolution happened, the new model arrived because that model required people to be linked to machines and offices in order to produce the productive work. But the global model was that workforce, more or less, was linked to the land, because that's how they produce the value. So in order for industrial revolution to flourish, the whole global system needs to be changed. And that's how capitalism replaced feudalism. Started with technology revolution. So for me, the key question is, this information technology revolution, what kind of changes it's going to make? We know that it's speeded up the process, increased the productivity and everything. But one thing is interesting to ask ourselves, what is going to be changed? And we start with the work. Because this revolution, which is common sense, I'm not saying anything new, basically divided work and workplace compared with the world we lived before. So, to be on one place was a requirement from the whole world. Now it's changed. Workplace is killed. Working hours are killed. And think about how workspace is organized. At the beginning it was, I don't care where you live. You have to come to the office or to the factory and do that job. Whether it's you or me or whoever, doesn't matter. And that's why we have working hours, we have free time. Working time, free time. What you are going to do after you finish your working hours, I don't care as your employer. That's where people develop the hobbies, stuff like that, because that was strictly divided. Then what else happened? The modern cities emerged from that trend, because you need to have proximity of the place of living with the place of work. And that's how basically this new model arrived now. And this is one thing which is very important to explore further. Now you don't, for your employees, you don't ask them to be physical on the one place. They can work from anywhere. So instead of working hours, instead of work energy, we have a life energy in place. How will companies provide the conditions that their employees will be satisfied? 2-3 years ago, but before Corona, I was invited to one of the leading IT companies in Belgrade, in Serbia. We have some discussions, I have some presentation, and they invited me to visit their workspace. It was, but it's technology company, so it's modern company. And this company has all the facilities which enables their employees to be really on the high level of satisfaction. So for the normal office space at that time, you have everything, the best food, gym, kindergarten, everything. Because it was not enough to have just a good desk and good office space. And what was impressive for me was that in the HR department, they have 2 people whose job was to accommodate the foreign employees and their family members when they come to Belgrade, because it's a global IT company. So they attracted talents from all over the world. And in their HR department, they have 2 people just taking care about these foreigners, especially their family members. Which, from that perspective, for me was cool. Wow, great, because more and more great employees will come. But this was still the time when office space was treated as a major destination for people to work. The same is, we all know the stories, how Google campus in Silicon Valley looks, what Amazon did to provide the environment for their employees to feel like they are at home, in order to increase their productivity, increase their satisfaction, and eliminate that factor of people leaving. Because that's the idea that work and private life are connected. But the life is happening in the office space. Think about that from this perspective, that in just few years, change happened. I'm not saying that companies are leaving the offices, but we'll come to that point as well. But now, there are no companies who will invest such a big money to create in the office environment home experience. Now it's the other way around. Now you work from home. It's one term. Another now is work from anywhere. Third is like hybrid work. So the companies now are thinking why we are going to invest in creating this homey atmosphere in the office. Anyway, you are work from home. You do whatever you want at home. And at the beginning, it sounds like a good idea. But it turned out not to be that good idea. Because at the beginning, people feel comfortable. Sure, I don't need to travel. I feel great, I will work from home. But our homes are not designed for work, which is a technical thing, okay? But even more important, it's start losing the sense of belonging to the community where you work. That trend creates a completely new situation where if you lose the sense of belonging for an employee, then it's risky that you are going to lose the talents. So now, companies are thinking and trying to improve working conditions for people, for their employees, at their homes or whenever they want to work. And we are just at the beginning of that process. It is found that there are some challenges when employees are not at the one spot and they are connected due to technology with all these virtual possibilities, with all these great technology applications that we can work together even we are not at one spot. But there are those challenges. One is communication. We all know, let's be honest, we all know, yeah, we can have a Zoom meeting, we can have Teams, we have all this thing. You guys know much better than I do. But it's completely different experience than having a physical contact. So the two things happen. One is diminishing the productivity a bit, and that lack of sense of belonging is also important. So one thing is communication. It's harder to efficiently communicate using virtual platforms than physical proximity. Then it's connection, because we are connected not just using phones, Blackberries, whatever, and computers, but we are also communicating through in-person communication. Another thing is also culture. How you can build a culture of your company if you don't have physical presence for your employees. So those are the challenges the modern companies are facing with. That's why we have this hybrid model of work where there is a combination of office and home. So office has become the destination, not the default. If it's destination, the companies will create the environment where no more so many desks, offices, but more like places where you can meet, talk, discuss, get together. That's what's going to happen. But it's going, on one way, it's going slowly, but it's going faster than we can understand, because we live in the world, in the environment, where we are aware of that change, but we are still not aware of all the consequences which is happening. The whole phenomenon of great resignation, which in the United States they are speaking about that, it's not that much is lack of workforce, but because more and more people want to feel like they are managing their roles as a worker. So they work for a couple of companies at the same time. So they are not fully employed with one company, but they are like a freelancer. And they work with a couple of companies at the same time. And what is also interesting trend, we have already we can group different people who are now members of the workforce in different categories. One is, as I mentioned, freelancers. Another are remote workers, people who are everywhere. Third category is digital nomads. Digital nomads are people who are traveling and working, because that's what I'm not saying that all of them, all remote workers will be digital nomads, but some of them, why I don't work and at the same time enjoy traveling? And the new category, which for me is very interesting, it's corporate nomads. Corporate nomads is a new category because some of the companies identified that they, in order to provide the satisfaction of their employees, and you know that how important is that, it's not that just provide all the facilities in the one physical location or to give the money, yeah, we can pay you your utility bills if you work from home, stuff like that. No, satisfaction is much a higher level. And what some companies now are exploring and doing, they are investing in different spots around the world or the region, depends on the size of the company, where they offer their employees to go and work and live. For instance, nice place on the seaside, some campus, and they say, whoever wants to go work and live there, go there. Ski resort, why not? Some city centers, why not? So instead of providing all the amenities in the physical location, in one physical location, like it used to be, with good food, with the gym and all these things, now you provide your employees different locations and they can also work from different spots whenever they decide to do that. Or they can work also in the office as a destination, or they can keep working from home. So some companies realize that's the way how they will improve the satisfaction of their employees. So corporate nomads. Harvard Business School recently get together like 100 CEOs of the largest companies. And 33% of them indicated as the major threat they feel for their companies, retention of good employees. Only 10% expressed they are afraid of coming inflation or stagflation or this what we are talking about every day. Because the first thing is more important. So we are already facing, and can you imagine, before COVID, which I said is just speed up the trend which already existed, companies wanted to be, Google wanted to make a Google headquarters 2 in Silicon Valley. They dismissed that project. Twitter said that they will not ask their employees to come back to the office. In contrary, they are telling them to stay at home. At least that's what John Dorsey said. I don't know what Elon Musk will say. I'm really not familiar with that. Maybe they will open up the office space in Mars. I don't know, but that's also an option. Another technology company, Zapier, offer $10,000 to each employee who decided to move out from Silicon Valley. At the same time, they offer them to reduce the salary if they decide to do that. And you can say, come on, what the... Okay, don't continue. But it's logical because due to the concentration of the most talented people in Silicon Valley during this IT boom, all the prices in that area go skyrocketed. Now they say, okay, you can live in a better environment, closer to nature, so your a lower salary will have a better buying potential, and we give you $10,000 that you remove from there. Facebook also said that just 50% of their workforce will come back to the office spaces. But if you imagine how much they invested before in the office space, and now they are changing that, it's just the proof of how things are changing fast and rapidly. But so we are seeing that major shift in the relationship between employer and employee, of the workforce and how work is organized. Because now you really have a global workforce. You guys know that it's no boundaries now. But just at the beginning of that change, what influence that change will have on the global system of the world? Let me say one thing, and I'm not going into that direction anymore. We are facing, with the current crisis, that the global political system shows that it's not capable to tackle the current challenges. It's just one example of how model of work is changing everything, and we need a new system globally. But that's another question, as a topic of this presentation. So when I'm saying all these things, I'm just saying what I'm seeing around. I'm following that. But we live in the era where we are living that new world, but we don't understand the whole consequences of that, which is fine. So in order to understand who is telling you all these stories, let's see if this will work. Talking about technology. Can we just go to another slide? Okay. Did I do something wrong, or? You see, talking about technology and okay. While they're fixing that, I will tell you why I'm experienced beginner, first place. I'll tell you a little bit about my background. So, and how things were changing even when I was acting in business. I'm coming from the marketing world. And the industry I belonged to was TV shopping. How Stone Age that sound, huh? Okay. Yeah, okay. So, I was partner in company Studio Moderna, which brands, no, can you go back? Yeah, can I keep that or, okay, thank you. Talk about technology. A company Studio Moderna, which is known for the brands Topshop, Dormeo, Cosmodisc. Who knows Cosmodisc? Okay. When I jump into the marketing world, I started with the Cosmodisc. At that time, I still lived in Serbia. It was beginning of 90s. And the agency who did a campaign for the product created a slogan for the Cosmodisc. It looks silly, but it works. Okay? And I thought, okay, I was against that slogan, but it's another story. But finally, I admitted it. But I didn't know that this slogan will be the slogan of my life, not just the one product. Okay? And then, in 1993, I moved to Slovenia and became partner in the Studio Moderna. We started with Topshop. Okay? In 20 years of that experience, we managed to start business in 20 countries in Central Eastern Europe, having more than 7,000 employees, mostly working in the call centers, accepting the calls, okay? At that time, it was completely marginal business, marginal industry. Come on, you make a phone call and you order the product. Even at that time, American companies and Western European companies, they didn't have call centers in the TV shopping industry. Why? Because they rented out the call center. In Eastern Central Europe at that time, there were no call centers. So in order to do the business, you have to organize the call center. Something which was at that time additional cost for our company has become the key market advantage in just 5 to 10 years, because we have the direct contact with the consumer. In the digital world today, that's common sense, okay? At that time, no. So that was our big advantage. Second advantage was that Central Eastern Europe at that time was still just one region and not very much interested for big global companies. And what happened just in less than 20 years? TV shopping industry today doesn't exist. It's end. Because, come on, do you know anybody who is watching television to see the product and then make a phone call to order it? Okay, maybe a couple of people closer to my age than your age, but that's another question. So, coming to the end of that route of my life, I realized I'm very proud of my experience. That's a really big success story. Having a business in 20 countries, the largest direct response television company, that's the name, in Europe, not just Eastern Central Europe. But it doesn't exist anymore. So that's my experience. What I have to do, I'm still in position to be the beginner. What I'm going to do, I didn't have any idea, and now I will make, in the final part, this story. I'm originally from Vojvodina, okay? And northeast of Vojvodina is the village of Mokrin. I'm from Kikinda, I'm not from the village, I'm from Kikinda, that's the city, okay? And, okay, can we go back? Can I do that, guys, or give you a sign? I can do that, okay. And it was like, I don't know, more than 10 years ago. I bought one devastated estate in that village. With what idea? Didn't have a clear idea, but okay, I get my friends together, things like that. When I see that's a stupid idea, that's another thing. It's okay. So this is what I bought. It was cheap, honestly. Okay? And then I met, by accident, a group of young architects who were at that time students on the final year of architecture in Belgrade. And they stop now, okay? And they create a project. It was so cool. Some modern spot is the same location, by the way, from the previous slide, okay? And I said, okay, let's do it. And my idea was at that time, can we stop here? Okay. My idea was to support the young artists, culture, people from culture, stuff like that. But it's not sustainable, as you can imagine. And then on one conference in New York, I was visited WeWork facility before we crashed, okay. And they were talking about, besides the WeWork, they will also make a We Live concept, that they live together, okay? And I said, okay, why we don't try this? And one guy on that conference was the guy from the company called Remote Year. Did you ever hear about the company Remote Year? No, okay. Remote Year was a company, I don't know whether it still exists, but maybe not now, but Remote Year created the following model. Recognizing that people are not connected with the work and place of living anymore. So they make the following offer. If you can afford to travel and work, pay us for a year every month, certain fee, and we'll organize you to every month to come from one country to another country. So you travel and work, but you don't care about how I will reach there or that place and where I will work. So they rented out the co-working spaces in some countries, and they organized the travel. And for 1 year, and the price was monthly like around $2,000, $3,000. It's not, I don't know, really big for all this, for accommodation, work, and travel. And they have the slogan, follow the sun. So they start from the country where it's a summer, and they are moving together with the sun. So you're always working in the warm environment, nice, and you travel around the world. And for 2-3 years, Croatia and Serbia was also the locations where they pick up the place. And when they pick up the Belgrade, we said, why you don't send some of your people in Mokrin for weekend? And that's how the project Mokrin House started. And we started that in 2016, and in this, I would say 4 or 5 years, I'm not counting the Corona year, we have around 1,200 digital nomads from 51 countries of the world visiting Mokrin House. Mokrin is a dying village in Serbia. It was the largest village in X country, but it's a dying village, but that's the separate location. So that was like co-working and co-living space. We also organize events, and this is a real picture. And along with that, we start to get interest from the companies who want to make team building activities. But not just team building activities where we go and drink and have fun, but also do some work. And that's how this project started. So for me, that was that new beginning. But at the same time, I'm aware that my experience could be too much burden, and I really have a great team of young people who are running that place. And then it was a Corona, okay? No travels at the moment, no that digital nomads. This is just the pictures of the events who are organized and things. Now, after this Corona, because all this story about the future of work, what I was telling, can we go back? We have more companies now coming to that because work from anywhere model works for us now. And just to give you two examples. Can we stop here now? Okay. There is a company, Refereezer. Never heard of that, okay? It's an American company from Miami. And they have 100+ employees. Only 7 live in the United States. And as the founder, can you go back a little bit, please? Okay, I'll try. Because you missed my point, okay? And because the founder of that company is from Serbia, he, I don't know, heard about Mokrin, and he, for the first time, gathered all his employees from all over the world in Mokrin. And they will keep coming. And sorry, I have these physical notes. I have to. And there is a company, Kronelsen Academy from Germany, who recently sent their 10 developers to work for 1 week on some project. Can I say that I'm smart and visionary to do that? No. It's happened. I'm now following what's going on. Because that differentiation between workplace and place of living enables that basically there is no boundaries. And that's what can happen also in other places. I'm now learning from people who are coming in Mokrin. That's my blessing. And the final point I want to say, this is a Sam. Sam is a British guy. He is one of the travelers who work from anywhere. And once I was sitting in Mokrin with him and asking, okay, you are traveling now. where you are coming home? And she said, what do you mean home? But I mean, okay, when you stop traveling and leaving home. No, I don't know. But I say, okay, where do you feel you belong? Where do you belong? And he was calm, cool, and said, man, I'm a Mokriner. And I will be Mokriner as long as I'm here. Can you imagine what changes can happen when people start feeling, like old Seneca said, it's nowhere like everywhere. We are living in the world where new generation have this feeling of belonging to this planet, not to this city, this nation, another nation, which is fine. But this is Mokriners of the world. And I thought that when I left my marketing job and career, that's it. What stays with me? Retirement. But now I have this new school of people who are coming, visiting, talking, and this is this new world. So I hope that no matter how I look that I'm from Stone Age, that I didn't bore you with my old-fashioned story. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you a lot. I hope that you will visit Mokrin. If you are from Vojvodina, it's very near Novi Sad, for example.